How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my series with my lovely boyfriend,
Hello.
where we go through the Marvel Rivals character designs and he analyzes them from an artistic standpoint. Now, he's a comic artist, he's an art teacher, he's got a lot of insight, as anyone who's been watching the parts so far has found out. And I'm excited to do Hela, but unfortunately, we're not doing Hela today. We are saving Hela for after the Queen in Black costume comes out because it's really cool, and Heiko has commented on it before. So today we are doing the Human Torch, the first of the Fantastic Four that I'll be able to show him, and unfortunately, the least legible. I don't know how long we're going to be doing each Torch costume because he's on fire in all of them, and I don't know how well his look comes across.
Alrighty, so here we got the Human Torch.
Johnny Storm.
I already really love the stylization they put on the fire.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a book I picked up on drawing like special effects, and it's just all animating special effects, and it talks about stylization. Kind of reminds me of that because there's a lot of fun with this.
I think the fire in his hand is a 2D animated texture. Am I right?
Yeah, like a lot of this is looking very 2D. I think some of the lighter textures are probably like on a 3D model around it, but I think even the one on the head might be a little bit. It might be some of that kind of fake 2D thing where they kind of change the angles of stuff as you pivot, so there might be like a little bit of fade in, fade out or something there. Because there's a lot of really good hand drawn looking texture on there too.
Yeah.
But it's really crisp on that hand animation compared to the rest of it, which I think fits because it's just like, ooh, everything else is just a little bit softer, blurry, and then it's like, all right, cool fire now. This is the cool fire you should be looking at. Look how crispy it is. Yeah. Kind of interesting how the fire effect is playing into the color of his suit because we know the Fantastic Four is like traditionally in that blue-white getup of some sort. They've kind of changed it around every once in a while. But it's making it really purpley because of how much fire effect they put on him, which is also pretty fun because at least you still get to see the costume because a lot of the more traditional designs of him, he's just like a fiery man, like from head to toe, like it's just all fire, no costume.
Yeah.
And then like so it's kind of fun. It's,
I will say that I don't particularly like the design they went for with the default Fantastic Four uniform. Because they're all variations on this look. Mostly white with blue shoulder slash and a big four on the side of their chest. I'm much more a fan of like the solid blue. That is the classic costume in the comics for them.
yeah.
But if they're gonna do this, they did it pretty well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the costumes they want them to be a little more crisp and modern look to them. So I think this is still a really fun take though, because they've taken the kind of traditional look of it, and now they're going to do this asymmetrical thing to just give it a little bit more interest.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you have a lot of other costumes that have like bits of capes or armor or belts or something. You don't have a lot to work with as far as design language with the original costume, so you kind of have to find something else to make it a little more stand out or have some interest. The only thing I just noticed though is that the Fantastic Four part that goes over the top is like its own piece of fabric, so it goes over the shoulder piece. So the little arm part exists as a totally separate thing underneath of it.
That's where he steps into the suit.
Because it's like a piece over a piece kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think they might have cheated a little bit there and decided it only needs to make as much sense as I feel like making it make sense. Yeah, I'm trying to think what they've done here a little bit because I love the little collar and cape design. That feels nice to me on the front, and then it's like extra iteration with some white, which I think they took off the white collar on the side that goes under the floor, didn't they? It's like a blue stripe. Yeah, and then like on the other side, it's a white stripe. Mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Hard to tell with the fire
yeah.
effects.
I'm just looking at what they got. They got these little like gray patches on his butt, which kind of remind me of the bony landmarks that they have for the hips that artists draw. There's just like a little dimple there.
Uh-huh.
So it's really like a design thing that, again, evoking the physicality and of the body without actually having to draw them naked. Which is like a lot of superhero outfits is like the spandex look. So, you know, they're playing into that. A lot of fun little bits and pieces here. Color scheme is really limited, so we just got white, gray, blue, which when you limit your color schemes that way, it's hard to go wrong. And then it's just, at that point, it's just kind of cutting up shapes in the way that you want. There's a lot of extra lines and things, though.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four uniforms are a little greebled.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. I can see a lot of it is like following muscle structure, though, like the ribbing on the blue sections, the way that the lines on like the thighs and around the buttocks are cut up. Like, those are purposeful. Kind of cool, too, to put, like, a metal piece on the elbow because it makes it feel really hard and bony compared to how the fabric feels, which is more fleshy, soft,
You've got a better eye than I do because I never noticed that past the fire.
Past the fire. Yeah, and then, you know, the big piece on the spine, too, which is also, because of the way his body curves, gives a nice, it's like a line of action is what they call it, which is basically... line of action, especially for superheroes, is you want the curve of the whole figure and the body itself to have this big line that you can kind of follow through with. Mm-hmm. So on like the way he's kind of floating, we can kind of go like big wiggle, right? It's like shoot, whoop. And the reason they kind of pay attention to that, especially in animation, is that it makes a clearer pose. It's dynamic. And so if you're trying to draw something that has to be seen for a short moment, you want that line of action to be really dramatic because then it's easier to read and then the character itself will look more action-y. And his pose is actually really cool, too, because they're doing like this floating thing. Because they could have done this a few different ways, right? But he's got this really fun, like, laid back, like he's leaned back, like, you know, chilling out. And like the limbs are all heroic. And if let's zoom out for a second so we can see the whole figure. When they pose figures,
did you notice the four with his legs?
Ah, interesting. Well, I was going to point out a thing in figure drawing where when you pose something, you want to kind of like have some basically callbacks to that pose. Mm-hmm. You interrupt my line of thoughts. I'm just like, I was going to say things, and now my brain quit working.
Sorry.
I was on a roll. But anyway, when you're like posing, especially limbs on a body, and they're gonna be mirrored if they're done well. Because if the limbs are all in different directions, there's no pattern to it, and it kind of looks like a weird jumble of like, blah! You know, like the body just doesn't look like it's flowing. So if we're going to do that philosophy on him, he has his right arm that he's kind of playing around with right now. It is like mirroring and the same angle of his thigh that he has bent. And then like the other arm on the opposite side is bent up. He keeps moving, but you know. And then like that kind of mirrors the leg that's bent up. They're almost parallel. They don't have to be like 100%, but they're mirroring that kind of posing. So we get kind of a rhythm with the angles of the limb that makes the whole figure have a flow. Let's see what else we got going on here. I like little gray panel patches. Oh, I finished realizing it's kind of a spacesuit thing where he has like a little crotch flap.
Oh my god, I didn't notice that.
See, it's both stylish and functional. I bet some designer was like, hey, spaceman. I am like 100% sure that was them going, No one else would be paying attention, but they're just like, it's because they're from space. And that's like a thing, design language that I talk about. We use what we know, like these characters were characters like they flew up into space, got hit with rays, and then got superpowers. So that's a part of their backstory. So like, let's have the suit kind of have some space suit details. And even the ribbing on the side, that's again feels very space suit-ish. They got a different character. You could kind of play it as also futuristic because we also associate space-themed things with the future. But in this case, it's also kind of invoking the idea that they were in working as astronauts.
I never really processed that about this costume, but you're absolutely right. This is very spacesuity.
See, it was all according to the design. You were just like, I just don't like asymmetry.
It's the colors I'm not particularly fond of.
Oh, it's like, who wants this? Is a neutral and a blue. You must be a hater. All right, I'm gonna pay attention to some of the not suit details because we do see a little bit of his face.
Oh, let me zoom back in on his face then.
And so, like, yeah, I was trying to see how, like, they have, like, the lighting from the fire kind of flickering around, just kind of fun. He has fiery eyes that are just solid, bright yellow. So we think about, actually, one thing with the fire, when you have a lot of bright colors, too, let's pay attention to how they controlled that, because they used a little bit of hues to get a little more interest, because on the face, it's all orange, and they toned down the yellow to more of like a yellow orange so that when they do the eyes as a bright yellow, they kind of pop compared to like all the other oranges and yellows so they don't get lost.
I wonder, did they give him like the same tone of white person skin as some of the other white people, or did they color him orange and just make it look like the fire's making him orangey?
Yeah, I think that might just be they colored the skin color what they wanted and they punched up the hair color really bright because that hair is like super yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Still not as yellow as the eyes because they get, you know, when you have values, sometimes you get a little limited. You can only go so far. So they're like the high key lightest value is the eyes, and then everything else is like a step below that or lower.
Mm-hmm.
And then because they have all this other fiery color they have to deal with, so they already used up their orange and orange allowance, right? So they're gonna like, all right, the other fiery color is gonna be red, and so they use the red on the outfit as a additional color. But what they did too is kind of interesting, is there's an outline of red all around him, but that outline is not on his face, and the outline tends to go away the farther down the body it goes, and they go back to using those yellows and oranges a bit more. So he has a high focus of lots of red in his center. But red as a color, if you actually put all the colors like together and try to figure out their values, red usually doesn't have the highest value unless you make it like a pink or something. So you just take basic red. Yellow though, yellow is really high in value as far as how light or dark it is. So that's a pretty smart idea of like, we're going to use a bunch of fire colors. So we're going to have our yellows and oranges, which have higher value for the face. And we're going to use our red as a hue color because it naturally has a lower value. We're going to use that for the body. But because it's also bright in saturation, which is like the intensity of how colorful that color is, you know, it's because they can be dull or bright, right? So we'll use the brightness of the red to punch up the body, which is like, you know, the top part of his whole thing. So if you spin him around, you'll probably see that most of the reds are on the top.
Yeah,
then,
I do want to call attention to something that I have a question about.
Mm-hmm.
The shadow of his arm on his body is red. How did they do that?
Oh, like where the lighting there?
Is there just a red filter around his body, not just a line work around the edges? And the shadow is taking off the bright light that shines on the blue?
Yeah, I think, like, I don't know how they would do it in 3D modeling as far as the lighting on this character, but if you're talking about, like, how light filters on stuff, what's probably happening is, like, you know, he is his own light source, and then there's another light source that's causing the shadow, right? So there's two light sources.
Uh-huh.
And because he himself lights up stuff so much, you're not getting a lot of that, like, bounce light secondary color in the shadows because it's basically getting washed out by his own light source, essentially. So I think that's why we're not really seeing the blues and things, is because, you know, he's lighting up everything red and then the shadow is casting on him. And so we just lose the blue color field. There's a whole science behind that, and I've not really studied a whole bunch of it because it can get really complex, and there's a lot of things like light bounces off and then reflects some of its color to another object, and then it could be like the way light degrades, because colors degrade. That's why atmospheric perspective works, is where you look off in the distance and everything gets bluer and bluer. It's like reds go first, and then I think blues are like the last ones to go. So even like in the ocean, when you're looking at some of the fish that you would think were normally colorful, but like red, you're like, how does a red fish survive in the ocean? Well, red's like one of the first colors to go. So like red is actually a very good camouflage color underwater because you appear really dark blue because all that red pigment doesn't get bounced by the light because the light has already degraded the red spectrum and it was only filtering the other colors after. So it's really pretty interesting the way light interacts with stuff in surprising ways. But this could also be a stylistic choice. They don't necessarily have to follow reality because they just made a man on fire. But I think I really like the idea of having it red because it makes everything still feel fiery. Because I think what they were intending is they didn't want to lose the blue color of the Fantastic Four costume, and that's hard to do when he's literally covered in flames. So they mostly just have it so that it peaks out in certain areas and then gets kind of overwhelmed by kind of the orange red pigment. And I think they have it like it moves with him, so when you know kind of swirl them around in different angles, you get different views of where that fire is covering. And that fire covers the white and other colors too. It's just more dramatic on the blue because the blue and reds are very different color families.
Mm-hmm.
Which again is a fun way to kind of mess with his costume too, to make it cohesive, because blue would normally really stand out and really make it blend in with all the fires and oranges. The fires and oranges. Fire orange. But you get what I was going after with all that orange light and fire, and have that mesh together. But yeah, this one's a really interesting one to pick apart because there's a big animated component to it, and a big like lighting texture component to it. But it's really fun. Yeah. I like the way they cut up the costumes a lot. I think this one maybe I can't decide if I like the asymmetry or as much. Because there's some parts that are kind of fun about it, and other parts of it just make it look a little bit more like pieces pasted on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as I just really like the shoulder section quite a lot.
It's a very top-heavy costume.
Mm-hmm.
Like and this is me uneducated in art design stuff, but from what I can tell, they want you to look at the top of the costume, except the angle of the legs. They want you to just notice the angle of the legs, make a 4, and not pay attention to anything else on the bottom of the costume, and to just focus up top where all the interesting stuff is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's like a lot of leg on this guy.
Yeah.
So much leg. I also just noticed that he has kind of like a little sneaker thing going on, which I think is also trying to evoke a bit of a spacesuit idea, but they do like little sneaker shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is one of the ones like they usually control their detail use quite a lot. I feel like maybe this one could be simplified just a tiny bit more in a few areas, and then I think it'd be like really, really good. Like, I'm not sure, like, this blue stripe here that goes down to the leg and makes another bottom section.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that myself. Like, that feels like it breaks up the white for no reason.
Yeah, like, I know they're wanting to pull some blue into the bottom of the costume. And so they stick that section in there. But, like, they already made such a nice little shape with, like, the muscles on the torso. And then they break up that shape again on the pec, too. So I think there's just something about the shape, like they needed to commit one direction or the other.
Yeah.
Because I've seen like some like types of leotards and stuff for dancers that have these like really low cuts under the ribs, so that you can see a lot of the side of the rib cage.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're dancers and they're very athletic and they want to show the movement of the body, and plus that's like a lot of mobility if you don't have a like fabric in your armpit, So it's like it's for utility and for showing off the body. I think they could have took some inspiration there. But I really like the asymmetry. I think I just don't like the way it's cut up sometimes.
Yeah.
In that middle section, because I'm like the rib cage there bit is good, but then it's just like it's lost on the other side because they don't repeat it. And I don't know, they could have made like a big 4 shape maybe out of the white section, because it already has kind of the top part of it. That would have been maybe kind of a cool callback.
You know, dog, I heard you like 4s, so I put a 4 in your 4.
Yeah, put a 4 in the 4.
So you can be fantastic while you're fantastic.
But yeah. I think that's what's getting me right now, because all the other costumes that had this level of detail and this level of cutouts, usually the cutouts are supporting this big shape, and in this case it's supporting this very irregular shape, and he already has so many irregular lines with the fire that I'm just thinking some contrast with a little bit of order I think would have been better.
Yeah.
Because I like the side on the side where the 4 is. If you turn him to his other side, I like that cut out. It's the other side I have issue with.
Yeah.
And I think it would have looked pretty cool if he had like the little blue pauldron thing. Yeah, or they could have had like, I don't know. I think this is one where I would have put it on paper and I would have done like a few iterations and tried to determine which one's the best one until I figured it out. Because sometimes that is what design work is. I'm like, there's something wrong here and I don't know what. So we're just going to try different ideas until something finally happens.
Oh, just you wait until we get to one of Squirrel Girl's costumes and Blade's default design. They've released the concept art for those. And in both cases, out of the like 5 or 6 designs that they came up with, they picked the worst one.
That's a design thing too. If you're ever a designer, this is the pro tip. If you make a design and you look at one and go, that one's the worst one, take it off of the design roster when you turn it in, because they will always pick the worst one out of your group.
It's not so bad with Blade, because Blade's final design is pretty cool. But Squirrel Girl's Nut Rocker is one of my least favorite costumes in the game, which is bad enough as it is, but add on to that, you look at the concept art. Out of 8 designs, they picked the worst one.
And
it's baffling.
I just noticed something about this angle is really setting off the highlight effect on his model, and it just looks awesome.
Yeah.
Just like da 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 da, heroic music swells.
They may have turned it up for Torch, which is a very appropriate design decision.
Yeah. Although I noticed there's a bit of a glitch on the back of his head because it's not tracking to his hair; it's tracking to his skull.
Oh.
So instead of highlighting the back of that hair floof, it's like. All right, should we check out a different costume? Because I have talked this one up quite a bit.
All right, we'll do a couple recolors. So every Fantastic Four member has a recolor that replaces the white and the blue with blue and black to make it look somewhat more like their classic look, which I like a lot better.
Yeah, black and blue is awesome. I can see why they did the white, though, because the white has that kind of spacesuit look to it, but again, you can't go wrong with a dark color and a really bright color.
Yeah.
It's one of the like really safe color choices. Just like, yes, beautiful bright color on a black background. Let's go. Kind of interesting, though. I'm trying to decide what color of gray they used underneath all that fire. It looks like a cool gray when it does peek through, but it's so overwhelmed by the fire.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's black. That does come through, but yeah.
We really picked the worst of the Fantastic Four to start with, as far as looking at their designs.
Wow.
As far as they relate to each other, I mean.
I was like, why don't you love him?
I didn't say he was bad. I said if we're trying to analyze the Fantastic Four's designs as a whole, we picked the worst one to start with.
Okay, well, I guess we'll have to see how he compares then to the rest of the Fantastic Four family.
Invisible Woman is, I think, the next one we do after Hela.
Oh. I think I just noticed too, he might have some metal bits on his knuckles. I'm trying to decide if they're there or not.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, they get really lost in all that fire effect, and whether they're on white or black, they kind of blend in. But they're there.
They're there.
It would be kind of fun idea to have some of his metal accents. What if they like glowed like they were like red hot?
Oh, that would be cool.
because of his whole flame thing. I mean, it wouldn't hurt him. He's already on fire.
Yeah.
He'd probably be filled pleasantly toasty.
There's actually some panels I found recently where the Fantastic Four went to Antarctica, and Sue, Reed, and even Ben are all bundled up in parkas and heavy duty clothing, and Johnny's there in a Hawaiian shirt and shorts because he doesn't get cold.
Which is a fun detail too on the back is that there's a little bit of wrinkles in the where his torso twists that I could see on the black suit.
Oh yeah,
It's a really cute little detail, and they pay attention to such little details on the texture. It's really fantastic.
that nobody's ever gonna see.
I just find it very amusing because like they've clearly put a lot of design work into stuff, and like someone comes through and like, all right, little fine details.
It speaks to a love for character design, I think, that they put in all these little details that no one will ever pay attention to.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think it also just throws me off because these are so stylized that you would think you don't really need wrinkles on this kind of stylization if you don't want them, but they're like, yeah. I'm also just picking up a lot of the fun, he has some really fun textures in his hair, too, that are like these big brush stroke things.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it changes the colors of them dynamically because that one on the back of his head turns bright yellow at certain angles.
Yeah.
And when you turn them, it'll be a darker orange. I love that kind of stuff too, because they're like mixing like these like surface treatments with like this brushy artistic look. And I love that when it's applied to 3D models because it's just really fun to see what looks like an illustration be able to have a third dimension added to it. Okay.
All right, so we go from a recolor that works pretty well to one that doesn't work because it's black and red.
He kind of disappears a bit.
Yeah. This was not a good color scheme. It's the ranked reward skin for season 1. Invisible Woman has one as well that's also black and red, and it works way better on her because she's not on fire.
Yeah.
It does have a cool emblem on the back though, because it was the Dracula season.
Oh yeah. I like this is like his gothic fit, you know.
Yeah.
I was trying to decide if like it would look cool if it was yellow, but you know, I feel like the black, and I feel like yellow accents would just cut stuff up too much.
Yeah. I think the red was the wrong choice for Johnny.
Yeah, it looks like they tried to compensate a bit too, because it looks like they picked like a dark red, and like the fire lights it up to brighter, but it still.
Yeah, you can see in the preview over here the color of red it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and like it looks like some of the gray accents are getting like super lost too, because there's supposed to be some in that pauldron, and like the neckline and stuff that are just coming across as red.
Yeah.
I guess even his chest is supposed to be gray. Now I look at the picture. It looks like I thought it was supposed to be like how the other outfit, like the white parts are gray and then the other parts were red, but no, that part's supposed to be gray too. Yeah, I think maybe this one they needed to like do a pass or something where they like maybe toned down some of the red effect on his flames or something, which they totally could do because they've done different stuff with different costumes. But yeah, I think they maybe just slapped this together and didn't really pay attention to how it was coming across.
You want to know the real thing about it? You're right. His flames are different on different costumes.
Yeah, because that one.
Well, this is a better example of the flames being different, but
Well, no,
we'll get to that in a sec.
I was just looking at that one because like it doesn't have as much definition across the chest on that kind of fade-in effect. You know, it's made flatter to go across his costume. I really like this like cloth look on him, to be honest.
Yeah.
It feels very cute, and it feels
He's got a sweater.
It feels very retro too, which really feels fun with the characters' origins as far as their comic book origins.
This is the Fantastic Four First Steps costume.
Yeah. And like they still have it cut up in ways that are matching the more modern aesthetics because the way the sweater is like cut across right across the top. and sewn right on top. There's also feeling like I love the little ribbing texture, the big ribbing texture,
Yeah.
because it's selling spacesuit to me, but like retro spacesuit in like work clothes with like little big, like kind of like
Very 1950s future.
yeah.
Which fits because that's when the movie takes place. Well, maybe 60s, but you know what I mean. 50s
Yeah.
retro future.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the other movies that besides some of the early ones, but
I think the older movies, because I haven't watched the first Fantastic Four run in 20 years, and I've never watched the one with Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm. But I think those hewed closer to the comics as far as their designs go.
yeah, let's have a bit of a zoom out because I want to see the feet too.
Space boots.
Space boots with the number 4 on the bottom.
Oh my god, yeah. Again, something no one will ever see in gameplay.
Yeah, looking at how they cut everything up, and this is just really nice.
Yeah.
Because what I like is that they have a good control proportions on where the white areas are going to be and how much space they take up. But when they do that blue, I really love that they backed the gloves with black on the palms and the wrist because it makes it feel like it follows the suit a bit in the colors.
Uh-huh.
So you really feel like the difference between the top and the bottoms of the hands.
And he's got a really simple color scheme. Ignoring the fire, he's got white, black, and robin's egg blue, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. I'm also like looking at how much they detailed the silver accents because there's a few in certain areas, but I love that there's a bit of asymmetry by putting 2 little rivets on the one side.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really small bit of asymmetry, so it's kind of like there's a little bit of sprinkle, and then they have some kind of thing on his shoulders that are metal. But I'm not sure what it was about, but I don't hate it. It's kind of fun little detail. It makes the suit feel maybe it's just like a little indicator that the suit isn't just clothing, but it has like some kind of, purpose as a spacesuit. And those are there for, maybe sensors or something. Who knows? We can make up our own minds, right?
You heard him chat. Make headcanons about Johnny Storm's metal rivets on his shoulder.
It's for the firmware updates, on that suit. But I was talking about like proportions. We got just a little bit of little accents of silver, and then we have like the big silver bracelets. The belt has panels on it, which aren't silver. They're kind of that white material, but they have silver doodads on top of the belt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I really like the proportions of where they used them and how. And there's probably some on the boots that are a little harder to see, but I think there's a couple little things on the buckle.
Yeah.
And then they're mirroring the texture on the sweater on the boots as well.
Oh, yeah, they are. For his space socks.
But I really love that as a design choice because we have like this wonderful texture and we're gonna mirror it so it kind of pulls the whole design and makes it feel like it's all one cohesive unit by just repeating a texture. Well, I already mentioned like the kind of weird rivet texture, which like don't even make sense. Like especially the ones on the thigh look really weird. But the scale of that texture is a little bit bigger, I think, than the scale of the texture on the sweater, and it kind of mimics that idea of ribbing. And I think they mess with the scale a bit too. It's like big on the chest, and it's a little bit closer and compact on the waist, and then it gets big again on the thighs. And oh gosh, it's just really nice to look at. I like how this one's put together a lot.
The one thing I don't like about this costume is the same thing I don't like about his character design in the movie. Fucking stupid hair.
The hair.
I don't like that hair. I don't like it at all.
Like I said, have you seen like hair from the decades past?
Yeah, and I think it's dumb. Well, this hairdo anyway.
They had to honor their ancestors of dumb haircuts.
It's better than it is in the movie, at least.
I suppose.
They did a good job with like the hair design, as long as they're going to do it in that hairstyle. Like I like all the little bits. It's cool that they move when he moves and stuff. It's not a static model.
It's not like an attached mop to his head.
Yeah, but I hate the hairstyle so much.
I just noticed another thing I really love about the gloves is that we have a lot of lines that are pretty much vertical along his body. They're straight up and down.
Uh-huh.
And then on the you can see that on the back side there's like a point where they change and they follow that verticality. But on the other side of the glove, it's horizontal lines. Which is a fun way to basically give some contrast, because now we have like the same, and then it's like belt, glove, and then there's like the line across his thighs, another horizontal line. So it creates these patterns in places to break up designs, because if you make it too much the same, then sometimes you have the problem of all those lines will like basically shoot people's eyes off the entire character, because they'll just go swing because there's too much strength and all the lines going the same direction. And those lines also, the curves and stuff, are supporting the forms of the body too, so it makes everything feel really three-dimensional, and that's working everywhere on this particular costume. Like the chest, is showing the shape of the pecs, and then like the lines on the thighs are showing the angle of the thighs, and like the roundness and all the forms that are part of his body. Yeah, this was so far one of my favorites. I really like it a lot.
Yeah, it's very good. Ironically, it's my third favorite of the Fantastic Four First Steps costumes. Sue and Reed's are way better than this.
I also just noticed he has a zipper on the back of the outfit too.
Oh, so he does.
Again, like kind of workwear kind of zipper.
Yeah. It's the most inconvenient zipper of all time.
I know, it's like I was at work on that collar.
Well, no, how do you zip it up yourself? You can't.
Yeah, especially when he's on fire.
Yeah.
I was like, what if he has like one of those things like those Dickies or something for the collar? No, someone else will figure out how this suit works for me. We gave people homework.
Get your headcanons in, people.
That's part of your design work, it's just like not just visuals, but why and how and where.
All right. Now we'll show you the Negative Zone one. So for a period in the comics, Johnny died and then got revived in the Negative Zone. And he got all fucked up, apparently.
Negative Zone Gladiator. Yeah, that's one way to put it, because he's got like stuff sticking out of his arm.
Yeah, that rod in the goo on his right arm is an item. He actually uses it in the MVP for this skin. It's some powerful item from the Negative Zone that he used to take it over for a little bit. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but it appears to be fucking him up.
Yeah, so I'm trying to see how they did the treatment of this costume, even regarding the weird goo arm attachment. Because they've cut it up a lot different, and it's like very industrial, like racer, future, cyberpunk kind of look to it. I think it's kind of fun though. I really like this big silver piece on the front, because it's feeling very much like a rib cage almost.
What I think they did is they made it look like molten lava running between rocks.
I just realized, I just popped in my head what this looks like to me. It's like a car engine.
Ha!
Because it got like, if you turn on his neck, the other side where shows the texture, see that texture on the neck? That's like kind of that, some kind of fiber thing they put all over the pipes and things on like hot rods and cars.
Uh-huh.
To keep them from going on fire, I think. But all that metal accents and the sleek black. And then they're going to tear that up with like some basically racing stripe yellow. Put on fire, of course.
Of course.
These big metal pieces. So yeah, this feels very mechanical, sports car look. So you got your metal panels and that black, plastic fiber panel stuff. What's interesting is they have really a lot of cutouts on the leg in this design compared to some of his other ones.
Yeah, unlike the default design, they want you to look at his legs.
Yeah. I think this works
Oh,
particularly.
no 4 on the bottom of his shoes.
Should say -4. I was gonna say what works pretty particularly well for this, where it would normally be too busy, is that he already has this really messed up arm on one side that's like different color, no fire flame effect on it. It's like very purple compared to how orange everything else is. So that really takes your attention from other parts of the costume. So having a lot of busy work on the legs doesn't necessarily take your eyes away from it, because they're more matching than the big, you know, goo arm. And it's really incorporated really interestingly into his outfit, because it's not just going into him, it's like merging with him in a really smooth transition, because you can see it across the front where, like, you know, like that's not embedded into him, that is like part of him.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to like what was the other design we were looking at, with the metal cyborg thing that was like embedded into them.
Oh, the Hawkeye one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the busy designs, but I think the flame effect really helps keep things cohesive a lot. I also like that they did a little bit of an accent on the other shoulder too, so it feels a little balanced, which is a thing you do a lot of the times when you're trying to balance a thing that's going to stand out, which is like if there's a big object, you balance it on the other side with small object.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's small object, and then you can balance it on the other side with a bigger object.
Oh, is that why so many fantasy armor pauldrons are asymmetrical?
Yeah, it could be. If they're going to do an asymmetrical design. Because, like, if you're drawing, like, not even a character, but, like, a room, and you put, like, something on one side of the room that's, like, really big, you will have to, like, put something on the other side of the room to balance it. But if you put something the same size, then they're kind of equally balanced, and that's just not as interesting, because you don't know really where to look. And, like, you can switch it either way, too. Sometimes it's a small thing that's supposed to grab your attention, and so you have, like, another big section of, you know, kind of big thing, but it's not as eye-catching, which is, like, in this case might be his legs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, the legs take up a lot of room, and they have a lot of detail, and they're big, but they're not as big as the arm.
I just noticed that the purple goop is pulsating.
Is it?
Yeah. Like, on his left shoulder, you can see it clearly with this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a little bit on his right shoulder in the big part.
Oh, yeah, it has, like, a texture where it's kind of squirming.
Yeah. Not the
Yeah.
only costume in this game that has that sort of thing. We'll see when we get to the Venom symbiote costumes.
Yeah. Like, it's alive, alive! I also like they did is that a shine that's in that corner? Maybe it is. Turn him a little bit. Or is he actually just bright white on the inside of that shoulder? I thought maybe it was like one of the highlight colors that was in a weird section, but no, he's actually just bright white in that arm. It's kind of interesting. So I see that they have more, yeah, they have more bright white areas. Because to me that feels a bit like they're bringing some of his flame effect into that arm as well. But I think they wanted to make it even more, you know, like unnatural looking. And if they made it look yellow, it would look too cohesive, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Alright, let's take a look at the leg section, because I haven't really looked at how they've divided things up a bit. Ooh, I kind of like that crisscross on the front section between where it comes off the hips, because there's like these big silver lines following like the bone hip line that is usually on the bottom. But then they took some of that yellow and like went straight across and over. Because the yellow kind of follows some of the big thigh muscles. It's a little stylized, so it's following a little bit of the bone and muscle. But it makes an interesting line to the knee. And then the other one's like this crisscross thing, which is really fun. It kind of breaks up that shape quite a lot. And then the backside looks like they're bringing in more of that negative zone goo effect. And those ones are kind of organic. They're like really draped around and curved, and the yellow lines are very, like I said, and like before, mechanical. They're, if you look at the shape of them, they're very they're not very curved at all, even though they are wrapping around, but like the edges of them are like cut sharp.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see all this like sharpness, mechanical stuff contrasted with all the organic shapes that they've done in this costume. And then the boots are fun too, because I like that they chose to have like this big line on the front of the leg, and then they kind of break up the shape a little bit with a little bit of a design. Kind of a not sure what shape that would be. It kind of reminds me of a seashell shape. And then they wrap that around to the other side, so that the whole thing kind of feels like a boot almost.
Mm-hmm.
And not just like a leotard costume piece. And there's actually some wrinkles, I think, in the back of the knee on the one that's hanging low.
Yeah, there are.
Sort of some fabric there.
I like that his knees have eyes.
But I was also thinking too, like it's neat how they use that yellow line also to really cut the leg apart in a way that makes it look almost segmented, like an insect.
Uh-huh.
And I think they were pulling a little bit of that too, using that purple vine on the arm too to create that segmented look. So, you know, they're going for evil Johnny. I'm not sure if he's exactly evil, but definitely not somebody who looks like he's going to be a nice guy.
Oh, no. He was still Johnny, from what I'm aware.
You know, he's definitely not friendly looking, but it gives him this alien, you know, out of this world look. Even, you know, on top of the whole goo arm. But to keep that going in the rest of the outfit by using different design ideas.
Oh, I just noticed. He's got fire coming out of his left eye, but not his right.
Yeah, it seems like wherever they have the stuff on him, they've kind of cut the fire effect a bit. Almost like they're not compatible. I'm also trying to decide if the yellow on his legs is actually just bare skin.
You've seen thigh windows on the women. Now we get one on the men.
I'm just saying, it kind of look like it could be.
Kinda, yeah.
I could totally see it. The things are just like pasted on panels. I mean, I'm game for it. Yeah, I wonder how many design iterations they had to go through this, because there's a lot of control in the shapes. And even if we look at big picture, like where they're controlling the yellow, like, you know, they have like big yellow thighs, big yellow up through the rib cage, and then like the yellow is only coming back over across the collarbone. And just a little bit. You know, that had like some forward thinking, because they could have just been like, oh yeah, cool, yellow accents here, 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 you know?
Yeah.
But when you step back a minute to look at big picture, you realize, okay, they're only in certain areas and certain scales and taking up a certain amount of room. Yeah, there's just a gauntlet thing too, has this cool swish on the one that has armor on it still. That's really cut up in an interesting way.
Yeah.
They put silver on that, but then they cut down the accents on the upper part of the armor, which would normally look like it should match. This one, I think whoever designed it must have been really paying attention to the fire effect too, because there are these kind of like lighter gray accents in certain areas. And they're cool grays. So it's making some of the areas just have a lot of, like, it's almost like the way the light's hitting things is making it pop more, because it has these kind of lighter gray accents and all this red and orange, you know, because red and orange and stuff can be really dominating, and then you can cut out the shape. So like, I'm looking at this one like kind of on his buttocks, because it's kind of a light gray color, and like there's that side panel on the other side, light gray. So then you're getting these kind of cool colors to kind of contrast, which is a good way to make your fiery stuff look more fiery.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see he's got a lot of that red accent on the back of there.
Yeah, he looks like molten metal in his midriff.
Yeah, I wonder if they messed with the filter a lot on this one, because it looks really fine tuned to really accent what they've designed with the colors on the costume. Oh, this is a nice angle too. I just realized that they have that wraparound on the face, so if you get him at an angle, you see his eye, and the wraparound, really three-dimensional. Cool stuff. This one just had a lot of attention to all the fundamentals of art in a really great way.
I wasn't expecting you to really like this one, but it seems like you do.
It is really cool. It's like, like I said, it's like race car machine plus fire plus weird organic, parasite thing.
Oh, I was going to mention. You see these two stripes on his left rib cage?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of remind me of like exhaust pipes.
Yeah.
Unless you said that earlier, and I was too transfixed by the fire to notice.
I didn't use the exact word exhaust pipes. I was talking about how it looks a lot like a race car, kind of mechanical design process.
Yeah.
So that makes total sense.
That's when I thought about it.
But I still really love how, again, they're cutting up all those yellow shapes in very geometric ways, because it's curved around his rib cage, but they are like straight line, straight line, straight line. So that when they do their organic goop vines, which go across his shoulder blades, so nice too. That's fun.
Oh, on his elbow, he's got the same hexagon texture as his neck piece.
Yeah, I think it's repeated in a couple other areas, but it's more.
It's just impossible to see past the fire.
It's just more subtle, because I think he has some panels on his leg that have it too.
Oh yeah, so he does.
Yeah, it reminds me like, I don't remember if it's carbon fiber or what, but it's just like that black material that they use to wrap stuff a lot. So it helps keep things clean and sleek looking. But yeah, he is a machine of a man. And very well designed.
All right, one last costume. So while he was dead, the other members of the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man started the Future Foundation, which I think taught like superpowered children or something. And they had all white costumes, and it was a whole thing while they were mourning Johnny and didn't want to use the Fantastic Four name or look. Johnny did not get a Future Foundation costume in the comics, but well, actually no, I think he did at one point, like was shown for a panel with it. But in Rivals, they gave him one.
All right.
And there's a cool thing with an emote that I'll show you in a minute after you get a good look at this costume. Because he has an emote that reverses the white and black on the costume.
Ooh.
For good.
For
like,
good.
Until you use the... Oh, no, he just did it there.
Doesn't he know we're looking at the costume? I was looking at the asymmetry on this costume, though, and I was thinking, like, dang, I wish they would have done this with this default, because that was, I think, where I was talking about the asymmetry was bothering me on that one. And this one has the same kind of idea, except instead of, the way that they cut it up with material, in this case, it's just cut up with kind of a geometric design thing. But it's the overall shape that caught me, because it's, they have the small pauldron with big pauldron. It's asymmetrical. It still preserves the shape of his rib cage in the way that I wanted on the other costume. So let's see what else he's got going on here. Got a much bigger collar. Oh, he's got like an interesting little doodad on his back.
Oh, it's animated. I never noticed that.
You never noticed that?
I don't play Johnny.
I guess. It reminds me of the Saturday morning cartoons where they bring out their technology and it's like bling, bling, bling. Like someone's broken into the bank. So it's really amusing, even though it's kind of hokey looking. I really like that texture on,
yeah, I
on
do
that. Too. So I imagine he's scanning for crimes. And then they have kind of a slightly see-through hexagon armor thing, which is kind of an interesting texture. Oh, I'm not sure about that glitch effect on his arms. I'm like, what is that?
Oh, yeah. The Future Foundation skins have that.
I mean, they've done something like that on other costumes, but that's so opaque. It just is like, I don't know.
What's the purpose of it?
Yeah, I was just like, it doesn't look like it's a power. It's just kind of there. And it's opaque, so it's not transparent or looking futury or like an effect at all. And he's already covered in effects anyway.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I expected I don't know. There's something weird about that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like he got something stuck on his arm and he can't get it off. Anyway, I'll try not to pay too much attention to that. Even though now I can't not pay attention to it now that I've seen it. Anyway, I was gonna zoom out for a moment because I really liked how they did the side panels on the legs, as far as like the color cutout.
Uh-huh.
Which is kind of fun because usually, for this kind of cutout, it's kind of reminiscent of like the kind of tunic look, where like tunics will like cut in the middle and then they'll like fan out because to move in a tunic you want that fabric to be able to split where your legs move.
Uh-huh.
And so it's kind of interesting that the color they chose on that side panel doesn't follow the color on the top. It's kind of like they kind of did a switch on there.
What do you mean? Isn't that black the same as the black up top?
Well, what I mean is like normally on a cut tunic, you know, on the white section, that part on the leg would stay white, and then the pants would be a different color.
Oh, you mean like the primary color of his top, like the central color?
Yeah, compared to his top half. So like above the belt, it would be like, you know, he keeps switching colors on me, so it's going to make it confusing to talk about. But the color of the side panel would stay the same on the top and bottom, and the color of the middle panel would stay the same on the top and bottom. In this case, they said, let's do a little kind of armor piece on that cutout and then keep everything the same. So it makes this fun shape with like the middle section is all tied together, and then it's kind of like patch on the side of the legs.
Mm-hmm.
Giving us a little bit of difference and a little bit of more fun in that shape. And then when you add that to the asymmetry of the top part of the costume, I think that really plays with the shapes created by that sectioning in a fun way. Because like that feels fun. It feels like this when you turn them to the side. It feels like this big red stripe with like a white half and another piece of white. You know, like that feels dynamic and fun, and it's like following the same parallel as the top of the costume. And then when we turn them to the other side, we get a totally different shape because now we get kind of like an hourglass shape with the red coming in because of the way that asymmetry has been working and the way he's posed. And I think that's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the boots because I would like to see the whole ensemble together.
No force.
You had to check now that you saw it on the other costume.
Yeah.
I really do like that stripe on the front of the boots and then cutting the top of the toe with the central color. And then I think they did a little bit of the heel. He keeps changing the colors.
I can't stop him. That's the emote he uses. Like, if you use that emote in a match, he'll swap the colors for the rest of the match. And you can use the emote again to swap back. He doesn't normally do the emotes most characters don't do their emotes in their inspection screens, but I guess they put it on these guys so that you could see the effect.
Yeah, I just realized he probably has some cool stuff on his gloves, but we can't really see it because of the weird texture. Like he has some gem and things.
I think that's where the weird texture is coming from.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it'd be interesting if it showed like text or something, like, you know, it's like a little like infographic of all the things happening, or like all the things you could learn in school, or I don't know.
Yeah, like what is the function of that effect? I don't understand.
Cause I'm trying to figure it out too, because I'm like, it could be like, oh, it's supposed to be the future, but why not just like a basic, you know, information hologram panel or something? Like, I feel like the ones that have used this similar kind of glitch effect have made sense because it made sense with what they were trying to accomplish. But this one, it seems so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Even though it's like mimicking some of the effect on the costume, but the costume's already animated, so why add extra? I don't know. So I was like, maybe it's supposed to invoke the idea of like the little glitch pixel thing on the top of the costume. But I was like, but he already has the emote, so it's just unnecessary all the way.
Yeah.
Oh man, the back of his belt has a bobble too. That's a little unusual. He's got a spoiler.
Yeah.
Usually they don't put a big piece on the back of a belt like that, because usually there's no reason to, because it doesn't make design sense. But it kind of mimics the big shape on his back, so I guess it works in this case. It doesn't certainly take away. Oh, he's got a little bit of surface treatment too on the hexagon pattern on his outfit too, or on those sleeves.
Yeah.
One thing I haven't talked about a bunch is that teal line throughout the costume, and that's looking awesome in this costume.
Finally, a use for the teal highlights that you actually like.
I just love that it's like doing the shoulders, and in this case, it's cinching the shoulders in a really heroic way that makes like the whole broadness of his back look larger.
Mm-hmm.
and then following that down to the hips and it's making this really nice shape all along the side of his body, almost like he has racing stripes, really.
Yeah.
And like the ones in the front again are like they're not even hugging the pectorals that much. They're really going right to rib cage and then down across the abs. So again, making the top of him feel bigger, or artificially, right? Because you do Rob Liefeld and make enormous pecs, and then or you can draw a line to create the visual illusion of a bigger chest without actually having to be over exaggerated about it. And then they have that line on the one hand, which I think is fun because that's the hand he's most active with, and he's moving that hand around more. So we have this big leading line on that hand because they don't repeat it on the other glove at all, and I don't think they really need to because, again, it's asymmetry. So they have the bigger asymmetrical side has the teal line, and the smaller asymmetry line doesn't. And I don't think it needs to.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even more surface treatment on the white sections of his costume, too, and they're different because one of them are little dots, and the other one is like little triangles. And again, I think they're playing around with scale. And if it's like a drawing, you can see like the highlights only show up in just a hint, and like the value change is very low. And since he's a 3D model, that's just more fun because animated, so when you pivot him in different directions, that shine will follow whatever their set light source they've set up is. And this one has, again, that fun idea with using the gloves to kind of change up some of the verticals, because again it has like this big strap, and then there's like a space in the middle on the inside of his arm, not the outside. See what I mean? Whereas I think on the other one they hit it. It's red.
Oh yeah.
But they're playing with different shapes on either side because I think they knew they were going to do some asymmetry because they have it cut that way with the colors. So they're like, okay, let's see how we can balance both sides of these, but it's done in a really subtle way. So this asymmetry on this costume feels very balanced compared to like some of the other ones we were looking at where the asymmetry is way more obvious, and I kind of like that subtleness where like the design appears symmetrical at first until you start kind of paying attention to it, and then it just feels like it's tipped, but then it tips back, so it's kind of like a teeter-totter. And it makes it feel really active, because if they had went like, say maybe they colored the whole chest white and just did that top panel red or something, like it would still look nice, but it would be a lot safer and less dynamic. And I still think it would probably be very pretty, but I really like the using asymmetry in this design. I think it makes it feel a bit more fun, and especially for all that flame effect and stuff that he has on him, and he's like a really active character. I think that fits him a lot. Yeah, like see, he like plays around.
So, which do you like better? Which of the color schemes do you like better with this costume?
Oh, for color scheme? This is actually a red color scheme that works really well for him as far as using red on his outfit. And I don't know really why the teal works on this one maybe because it's used so little. But and also I think it's a nice break from all that red, because even the white's kind of a cool white if you look at it really close. It has a lot of red brought back in from the flame effect. But its base color is a colder white to contrast with all that red and warmth. So I think the blue is just a really nice break.
The analysis is good, and I like it, but I was actually asking, do you like him white and black or black and white?
Oh, you're asking me which of his little outfit changes here.
Yeah. Black shoulders, white body, or white shoulders, black body, I guess.
Yeah. So I actually kind of like his character in white because it's a really light color, and it feels... But this feels really fiery and embery on the red fabric too, which also fits him. I still think I like the red on top slightly better. Not for any particular reason, honestly. Just
So this one?
Yeah. I think maybe because it makes him feel top heavy, and the red matches with his head and stuff more.
Yeah.
So it feels like one big shape, where when it's white, it's cut up a bit more. But they're both really nice, and there's not really a wrong way to go about it, I think. But I really don't think they needed that texture on the gloves. I cannot, I keep racking my brain trying to think of any reason to justify having to have it there, and I just am coming up with nothing. Because I'm like, well, there'd be some visual interest for the animation. I'm like, no, he's already on fire. I was like, maybe, I was like, no, he doesn't need it. It just doesn't need it.
It's possible that it was an element they added to him because the others had it and it works better for them. But it was just, it doesn't work for him.
It's like the only part of this costume I think that feels too busy, and the only thing the reason that it doesn't bother me too much is that half the time he's posed in a way where you don't have to look at it. Like it's out of sight, out of mind, kind of.
Yeah, you just see it from the side, so it looks like a weird glove hover thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want the treatment of that texture to be something different because it's too opaque, so it just looks like someone did their 3D modeling homework on his arm. Like in their flat colors, there's like no brush strokes or texture or anything to it, and it's just cubes, so it just feels very weird to me because it invokes the idea of nothing. I think is my problem with it, because normally they pick a transparency or a color or something, so he's like, oh, future pixel bulbs or static or fire or sparkles, like,
yeah,
usually there's like something that you're like, aha, a thing, and I just get nothing.
Yeah.
And
it's just weird,
and it's bothering me so much.
More or less than the pink tie.
Probably less than that, but make it go away.
All right, well, that's all his costumes, so let's see his MVPs.
All right,
let's do it as default costume for the MVPs. Is his default MVP? I forgot he only had 2.
How cute. I like the pose on the end. It's really close up, and this is really fun, especially for a basic MVP. And little like swirl at the end. Very active, feels like the character. We get a lot of action, dynamic, fun.
Mm-hmm. And here's his negative zone gladiator MVP.
Ooh, he takes out the object and explosions. Fire, lots of fire. Also fun because it's like I said, he's got the race car kind of look to it. So when they pose him, where he's basically going in the same direction, like lots of speed.
Mm-hmm.
It feels really fun for this one.
All right.
I also just realized that little animation for that weapon he has, where it does that circle, it reminds me of some of the fire dancing stuff where they basically will have like something on a hoop. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it'll make a shape like that. Regardless if the fire doesn't come out of the ends on the real fire dancing, because that'd be dangerous. But they have something that creates that circular shape. And then you can't go wrong with a bajillion explosions. It's gonna be like an episode of Chowder. It's like, what have you done? You made the animators have to draw all this fire.
All right, how about his emotes? Here's the one that swaps his color.
I like how I make that reference, and like 5 people who've watched Chowder will get it. Ooh. Gotta slick back that fiery hair.
That's he's holding up his finger, which you can't really see.
Yeah, it's really high up on there.
Yeah, that's the first steps. The 4 Fantastic Four first steps costumes have Johnny's holding up a 1, Sue's doing this with 2 fingers, peace signs. Ben is holding up all his fingers for 3, and Reed is going with 4 fingers.
So if you get everybody together, you can do a thing.
Yeah.
Bees! Why is that an emote?
Because in the negative zone, it was ruled by a bug man with his bug minions. That's the negative zone emote.
I see.
And of course,
Brain Blast.
Big Head.
Gosh, Big Head looks really interesting on his model.
Yeah, the weird neck. Yeah.
I feel like most of them just ignore the neck and just do a big head on a regular neck, but I think because his collar is high and he doesn't have like a big poof or pauldron like a lot of the other characters do, it just ends up being a little awkward.
Yeah.
And he's floating, so the angle is also really funny.
Looks like Beavis or Butthead.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so what's your verdict? Which of these costumes do you like best?
Let's see. That's what we went through. We went there was default, the Academy, default red, default blue, black, movie, and negative zone. I really was partial to the movie one as far as the way the outfit's designed. I feel like this is like peak. You were given an assignment and you nailed it. But I did really like the Academy design as far as the way that the costumes cut up.
Yeah.
I just felt the texture was incredibly unnecessary, but I think everything else about it is really good. But, man, gosh, it's hard to say no to a classic, though, because if we go to that, it's like, that just feels cozy.
Yeah.
It also feels like a spacesuit, work suit. And it also, it feels heroic, too. Like, you know, if it was given to you out of context, just by some context clues, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a superhero outfit from, 2 decades ago. Or more. We're getting old.
I regret to inform you that the Fantastic Four came out 60 years ago.
Fantastic 60s.
My mom hadn't even been born yet. So this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with this one just for overall. And I would have picked probably the other one if they didn't have the weird texture issue.
Yeah.
But this one is a clear winner to me.
It's pretty good. I think I would still go with the Future Foundation skin because I hate this one's hair so much. So much. But this one's a really solid one.
Yeah. I feel like if the default one had as strong asymmetry as the Academy one, I think I'd actually like the default the most, but...
Really?
I just really like that color scheme, but I really want it to look... I want the Academy one, but in this color. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, put the blue and, like, the 4, like, as a little patch on one corner or something, and I think this would be cool. Or even in the center, why not, right?
Yeah.
But you can still have that asymmetry.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for Human Torch. Next week, because we're going to be putting this on hold until the new Hela costume comes out, next we will be doing Hela. And that's going to be an interesting one because you're looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. And she's got some cool designs that you don't get to see for another week.
I have the goth jeans and I must investigate Hela.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. And we will see you for Hela next time.
Bye.